Good morning guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. So I'll be spending some time back on Ed's amp, which is the RK50 custom build that we're doing for him. And you know what? I'm really enjoying building this amplifier. It's, I'm just really getting stuck into it, really enjoying the process. I guess it's because it's something different from what I've been doing every day, especially with, the amount of repairs I've got on the go, the amount of Ainsley Lister builds and these 57 tweeds and PRs and all that stuff. Having something different like this has been thoroughly enjoyable. So I made further progress with the chassis wiring. So I've now got the pots are in, I've done my bus bar, I've done my interpot wiring, got my components mounted, populated the valve sockets, finished up my B plus rail wiring for the can caps here, got my IEC socket in when I'm just about to finish up my IEC wiring, my HT fuse wiring, all those bits and pieces. I've also done all of my underboard wires on this, grounds, powers and things. Now, you may have noticed that I'm not doing any overboard twisties on this one. I'm looking for a cleaner look on this. But that's going to sit in... Come on, behave. There it is. Like that. And have everything wired in as such. The only thing I'm not happy with is I ran out of my usual 1K 5-watt screen resistors, and so I've subbed these in for the time being, but they're too big, they're too bulky, it's not going to work. I don't like it. So I've got some proper round ones on order, because I'm out of stock anyway. So and those will go in, but they're in for the time being anyway, just so I can just make sure everything is where I want it to be, make sure I'm happy and whatnot, and etc. But yeah, coming along quite nicely now. It's starting to look like an amplifier. So yeah, great progress on this, and like I said, I'm having a great time doing it. So the sun is out, as you can probably tell, but it has also been raining. It can't make its mind up. So yeah, general September weather. Quick 5 minutes on the Bronco. I don't think this has ever been apart before, because this rear panel was stuck in place. That was really difficult to get out. Anyway, here she is. I mean, that was such a pain in the arse to get the board out, because it's kind of sandwiched in there, like so. But then this plate sandwiches over the top, like that, and holds everything in place. So it's a strange three-sided chassis that you've got to completely strip down to get to the board. This is the pot that's obviously broken, R20. Value on the side appears to be C100K. It's a 100K pot reverse log. So we're going to see if we can get one of those online and get something ordered up. Apart from that, it all looks okay. Nothing burnt inside, no pop caps. All looks surprisingly clean. Okay, managed to find the Bronco parts list online. Part number 037324. Control, snap-in 100K, 30C. Part number R20, or designation R20 is there. That part is now discontinued from Fender, so I can't go to them. I've looked online. There are alternatives available, but I've taken a quick measure of the spacing, and those replacements won't fit. So I need to keep looking to see what we can do with that. There will be a solution, there will be a way to get this fixed. It's only a cheap pot. There is a C taper is reverse log. Now there is a linear pot available in that size. So worst comes to worst, we just need to change the taper and the customer will have to deal with it. But we'll keep looking, see what we can find, see if we can come up with a solution to get that pot replaced. So I found in my weird pot box the superseded part. This one is the wrong taper, it's an A taper, not a C. But the spacing, I just want to show you that the spacing, the mounting spacing, zoom you in, is wrong. We line up the centre pin, you can see the outside pins are too wide. So that's not going to work. So I wonder what our solution is going to be, because I cannot find a pot that's going to work. Bit of discoloration there on the board. And the other side are those diodes. Anyway, keep searching for a pot. Okay, rattling on with the repairs. So Bagcat Cub 2. This is the one that I showed you on Sunday where you turn it on and it's got a horrendously loud hum. So let's see if we can get to the bottom of that. Now, before you do any sort of electrical testing, we'll just do your basic visual checks to see what we can work out what's going on here. So this amplifier has a GZ34 rectifier. It's got two EL84 output valves, which it's a bit confusing this because they look like 12AX7s, at least they're the same height, but it's because the socket is countersunk inside the chassis. Which did confuse me a little bit. But that's that. Lovely sized transformers here. Zoom you in a bit. There you go. Mains transformer, choke, output transformer. Very nice. Okay. Let's have a look inside. And here we are. So, overall condition. Looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Okay, so this switch has rotated slightly. Probably not the cause of our issue, but that's something we will rectify before the customer gets it back. Filter stack here. Can't see any popped caps. Preamp section. All looks good. Some interesting stuff going on the output valves. Look. Bit of arcing maybe. That one's worse. Is that where our issue is? I don't see any burnt or crispy resistors going on around there. Rectifier socket looks okay. This terminal very close, but it's not going to be. Oh, there you go. It's just loose. Look. So high voltage, nothing. Heater, and then output. Just a loose pin. Okay. Nothing immediately burnt. Nothing that stands out. So what I want to do now is fire it back up on the bench under with the light bulb limiter in place. And I just want to look at the output valves, see if one of them is red plating or not, because it certainly sounds like when a valve red plates. And then we'll start taking some measurements. Okay, and on the bench, first thing I've noticed is this input is loose. Something strange going on there. So we'll tighten that up. We'll go through and give everything a tighten up first, but at the moment, it's not humming. No hum whatsoever. Don't know if you can hear it. I'm sure you can, but the hum has returned. All I did was tighten up the that input there, switched her back on, and she started to hum. Now the output valves are not red plating, and we've measured the hum. It is 50 hertz, so it's not DC. So we've probably got a ground problem somewhere. So I need to go through, see if we can identify where that's coming from and why it's intermittent. Other thing to note is that it's still pulling a reasonable amount of wattage from the wall, around 73 watts, which is about right. So it's not drawing too much. It's not short or something going on there. I suspect we just have a loose ground or something. Just about to fire up one of the 57 tweeds with the limited runs that I'm doing, and I haven't shown this process before, but now I've done all the wiring inside the amplifier. It's now on the test bench, and the first job that I do is I check all the grounds inside the amplifier before we apply mains voltage. Okay, and as this is a chassis ground amplifier, we've got our safety earth there, and there's our bond, doing no other job than that. So it can't have any other function than being our safety earth. And I've got my common lead and my meter on the IEC socket pin itself. And all I do is I just go through and I check every ground in the amplifier, and then we've got continuity to that point. Last one, there it is. And you can check the inputs as well. Oh, look, haha, I haven't soldered that point there. Just quickly do that and come back. This is why we check. Right, so all those grounds are good now, so now I'm happy to apply voltage to it. I'm just going to solder that in place, and I shall come back. Right, that's all done. That's all soldered up and ready to go. So I've now got the amplifier connected to the mains. It's not switched on yet. I've got the light bulb limiter in place. As you can see, the switch is in restriction mode rather than full power. And I'm going to be measuring DC at the reservoir cap, but we're not going to put a rectifier valve in just yet. We're just going to check the energizing current of the mains transformer, and the only thing that should come on is our dual light. Everything else, so the high voltage rail and our heater rail, really isn't doing much. So the high voltage rail is doing nothing. The heater rail is only powering the dual light. So that's our first test. And really, I'm looking for around 5 watts of consumption out the wall. And this bulb shouldn't glow at all. Amplifier on. Dual light is going, as you can see. And we're pulling 3.5 watts out the wall. Absolutely perfect. So if that bulb starts to glow full brightness, obviously there's a short in the amplifier, a fault current is flowing, and that wattage would be, normally it shows 0. But there we go. Absolutely fine. Right, so next stage is I'm going to stick a rectifier valve in, no other valves, and we're just going to watch as the rectifier warms up, 5Y3 in this case. I'm going to watch the B plus come up on the meter, ignore that reading so far, and we shall be able to then check at various points along the B plus rail that we've got voltage where we expect to see it. But crucially, we'll also check other points, make sure there's not voltage where we don't expect to see it. Okay, are we ready? So this time when I flick the main switch on, I expect to see slightly more current consumption out of the wall, sorry, power consumption. And we should start to see, as the rectifier valve warms up, our high voltage will start to increase. So let's give it a go. And if this glows at full brightness, we know there's a fault. Amp is on. Already up to 480 volts. Bear in mind there's no load on the B plus rail at the moment, so it will be reading higher than usual. Wattage out the wall now, we're up to 14.3 watts, which is all normal, this is all regular, nothing to worry about. So we're running at 492 volts at that first reservoir cap in restriction mode, and it's a 500 volt cap. It will have a peak higher than that, but as there's no load on this rail, that's going to be much higher. But that's all good, no problem so far. So the next stage is turn the amplifier off, put the rest of the valve complement in and fire it up again. Obviously a quick note, I know it seems obvious, but some people do forget that now that I have energized the amplifier, and especially the B plus rail, from this point forward to the rest of the time, I must always assume that this amplifier is now charged and dangerous. I can never assume that it's not, okay? So unless I physically check the voltage in the amplifier or discharge it and have a discharge cable attached, I must always assume, and so should you, that this amplifier is now inherently dangerous in terms of sticking your fingers inside. All right, so let's give it a go, see what we get. Okay, bulb blue. The bulb glowed ever so slightly there because now we're getting proper heater current draw for our valves. And this should come up to around 36 watts power consumption out the wall as everything settles down. Our B plus is starting to settle around 270. Bear in mind we're in restriction mode. I would like that to, it's usually around 100 volts high when we give it full power. So we'll see what's going on when we do that. But yeah, we're around 36 watts, which is where I expect it to be. And I'll just take my probe and I'll just check various points in the amplifier where I expect to see high voltage. Very good. Excellent. Perfect. Okay, I'll put that back in there. So I know I've just checked that I've got a high voltage across all of the points in the amplifier where I expect it to be. So we're now nice and settled at 270. Putting 36 watts out the wall, nice and stable, no smoke, no fire. It's not glowing at full brightness. So far, this is all good. There's no indication that there's anything wrong with this, that I've made a mistake during the build. It's all okay. So I'll just leave this for about 5 minutes or so, just monitoring everything as I've done. And if it passes that time limit, then I'll give it full power and we'll see what we get. I know this isn't the Q&A video that we do on Wednesdays, but I did have an email that came in. In fact, it was, I had that email come in. I've had a couple of comments on Facebook and things as well, about these videos that I put out. And basically the main thread of all of them was, why do I spend all my time making these videos rather than working on getting my waiting list down and doing work? Well, first of all, such naive questions. As most of you know, these videos don't take me very long at all to film and edit and put together. I do roughly 10 minutes a day, which works out about 2% of my total time for the week. So yeah, hardly any time at all. And I usually do stuff either at the end of the day or on my lunch break. So I'm not actually eating into time when I'm working on stuff, even though often if I think of something while I'm doing some work, I'll film and record at the same time. Secondly, the reason I do these videos, it's quite obvious. This is how I advertise my business. This is how I generate a buzz around what I do. It's how I try and reach new customers, bring in work to the business, because this is how I earn my income. I'm a one-man op, and I need a constant stream of work coming in, both servicing and repairs and orders for new builds. So that's why I spend not a lot of time, but I spend time doing this. And as far as advertisement goes, it's arguably one of the best return on investments I've ever done. Because as I said, it's roughly 2% of my weekly time focusing on creating these videos. My YouTube stats show that every month my videos reach roughly 20 to 21,000 new people every month on top of the existing people who've seen before, which is brilliant. And now that I'm monetized, I actually get paid for the videos, so it doesn't really cost me anything. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. This is how I advertise the business. I don't advertise on, in guitar magazines anymore. I have my social media accounts and I have this YouTube channel, and it's how I generate business. So I can actually pay my mortgage, pay the bills, and create really cool stuff for you guys. So yeah, I know it looks like I'm having fun and doing all this thing and or whatever, but really it's just advertising. That's what it is, I firmly believe that if I show you what I do, the standard of my work, and I try and keep it entertaining and keep the jargon out of it so all of you guys can follow along, the casual viewer can enjoy it, then that's good for my business. It helps me grow as a business, helps this channel grow. It helps people who were thinking about ordering an amplifier. They might look at the stuff that I'm putting out, the quality of my work processes, my methods, and that just might be the turning point where they say, I'm going to place an order for an amplifier. And that's what it's about. So this isn't a doss around. This, it isn't an advertisement for the business. I just try and make it interesting and exciting and engaging. And, as I always say to people, if you're not interested, you don't have to watch. It's not compulsory. So for those that do watch and do understand and do get it, great. But before you type those sort of emails or comments or questions, just have a quick think. What's really going on here? Right, so that 5-minute time period has now passed. Everything's nice and stable. B plus is stable, hovering around 270, 271, 36 watts out the wall. Can you see that? I can't smell anything odd. I'm quite happy to proceed. So we're going to flick the the full power switch on my limiter up here. That means that the bulb will no longer be in circuit, so that will go out. Full mains voltage will now be applied to the amplifier. What do I expect to see? I expect to see our mains consumption go up to around 70 watts with this amplifier, so we'll be looking at that. I expect to see my B plus at the first reservoir cap where I'm measuring to go up roughly 100 to 110 volts. So if I get 370, 380, somewhere in that ballpark, I know we're on for a good amplifier. Okay, are we ready? Power consumption has gone up to 78 watts. B plus 1, 378 volts. Perfect, bang on. This is a good performing amplifier, at least on the power supply side. Okay, so let's inject a signal. We'll go into the normal channel first. Tone control on 0. We're injecting 150 millivolt, 1 kilohertz sine wave into the front end. I'm going to advance this control. We're going to look on the scope. Now, standard 5E3s into 8 ohms are 12 watts. So if we find 12 watts, we're looking, well, 12.5 there is 10 volts RMS. So that's what we're looking for on the scope. Here comes our signal. Lovely sine wave so far. We'll just bring it up to the point of clipping. Top starts to clip just before the bottom, so we'll back it down there. What have we got? 9.2 volts. 9.2 into 8 ohms, well 9 is 10.1, 9.5 will be 11.3. So we're in the ballpark. We're in the ballpark. Just going to let that soak for a bit. Check the tone control works. Yep. That's great. We'll just leave that burning in. Soak testing. Our B plus 378 at rated output. Lovely. This is running fine. Tell you what we will do. Let's turn on the spectrum analyzer. And let's look at the harmonic profile. We just close this curtain. You might be able to see it better. There we go. So we'll set the amplifier tone control halfway, which will be roughly there. And then we'll set the output there we go. 9.4 volts, tone control halfway, normal channel. And this is the harmonic profile. So we've got, here's our fundamental that we're injecting. Second harmonic, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. Okay. And as you can see, there, the second harmonic is less prominent than the third. Okay. We look at the 25 kilohertz scale. So we go all the way to the top. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's the 11th. Hardly any 10. Strong 11th. Hardly any 12th. And onwards and so on. It's like overdrive the amplifier. Really squaring off now. That's the harmonic profile. We go back to the 10 kilohertz range. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is really low. 8, 9, 10 has come back. Let's go back to rated output. 10 disappears, 9, 8, and 6 disappears. Overdrive it again, and they come back. Okay, let's just try the bright channel. Roughly the same output. And there's the harmonic profile. I can already tell, based on what I can see on the scope and on the spectrum analyzer, that this is going to be a fantastic sounding amp. It's doing everything I want it to do. Nice smooth transition into overdrive. We will just double check the bias. Treble control works great. But look at that clean output. Isn't that lovely? Still doing 70 watts out the wall. There she is. No smoke, no fire. Nothing's getting burnt. She's running great. Output valves aren't red plating. We'll just leave that burning in for roughly an hour now, and then we'll come back, double check all its measurements and performance, things like that. Need to double check the bias values, and once it's done all that, we'll be able to give it a play test. Amp's now done 90 minutes burning in, and it's completely stable, absolutely bang on. Here are the bias measurements for those that are interested. So, voltage anode to cathode, it's 350 volts. One side was 349, the other was 350, so we'll go with 350. Voltage across the cathode resistor, 22.5 volts, and the value of the cathode resistor is 272 ohms. Okay. Current is voltage divided by resistance. So we go 22.5 divided by 272 gives us 82 milliamps combined current running through that resistor. That's our cathode current. Divided by 2, because there's 2 valves, 41 milliamps per 6v6. Power is voltage times current, so we go our anode to cathode voltage, 350 volts, times by 41 milliamps, or 0.041 amps, gives us a anode plus screen wattage, total power of 14.35 watts, which is 102.5% of these, which is, because that includes the screen dissipation, that's bang on where we want it to be. Final calculation is the heat dissipation of the cathode resistor. Easy enough to do. Voltage times current. 22.5 times 0.082 amps gives us 1.845 watts. And the resistor that's in there is a 5 watter. So we've got the headroom there. This one's running great. I've actually now got a loop running into it. So I'll do a proper sound sample with a proper microphone once the amps are finally assembled, but this one is, I've just gone back and checked with and compared it to the first one, which is here. Everything is exactly the same. It's bang on, exactly a mirror image, an exact duplicate, which as far as app building goes is perfect. Yeah, 57 Tweed. Hope you enjoyed that process all the way through from initial fire up to audio testing. But yeah, I'll give that probably another hour with the loop running through it. Let's just overdrive it all the way, actually. Tone control on full, volume on full. Spectrum analyzer's having a great time. And yeah, leave that going. So I'm just sat here working on Ed's amp, making good progress on this so far. So the board is now in. I've started wiring the sockets up. So cracking on. The sun is out. As I said, it can't make its mind up. But today is the first day that it's actually cold. It feels cold. It's only 12 degrees centigrade. In the sun today. It's freezing. Apparently there's an Arctic blast that's come down from the north, but it is freezing, and I've only got a t-shirt on, so I might have to switch the aircon back on and put it on heat mode. But yeah, but today is Thursday, my last day this week. Obviously, as I said, I'm off for a break, so I'm going to try and make a bit more progress on this, get it to a nice finishing point, so when I come back I know where I've got to and I haven't got to spend 10 minutes staring at it trying to work out what I'm doing. Then I'll give this place a tidy up, because every single workbench that I've got is just full of crap. It all needs sorting out, cleaning, give this place a hoover. And yeah, that's it. Well, that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much for watching once again. As I've said before, I am now taking a week off work, so there won't be a Q&A video on Wednesday. There might not be a video next Sunday, but if I can somehow squirrel something together, I will put that out for you. So please give this video a thumbs up, all your comments and questions down below. Subscribe if you haven't, join the channel like these guys have, and I will catch you all at the next one.